So here's the deal. There is a lot of talk going on right now about this idea of hustle culture. What does it actually mean? Does it mean that if you're not tired, that you're actually living life right? Well, here at the All In Podcast, we might think a little bit differently. We don't highlight burnout. Honestly, we're going to try to avoid it, and that's what we're going to dive in here. My name is John Michael Lucido. These are my two guests, Clayton Jose. And this is the All In Podcast. You're going to want to be here. So grab a Coke Zero, find somewhere cozy, and lock in. Let's hustle. All right, fellas, so we're talking about hustle culture today. First thing when you think of hustle culture, go. First thought in your mind.
4 a.m. Wake up at 4.
Wake up at 4, okay.
Rise and grind.
I think Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. You think he was up at 4? What time do you think Kobe woke up?
He had his whole schedule, right? You might know this better than me, but he had like a whole schedule where he would sleep. He would break his day down into 4 different days, I think, or something like that.
I didn't know.
And he would like sleep 2 hours, wake up, work out, eat,
sleep,
practice,
oh, it's
sleep
Benjamin
again for 4
Franklin.
hours, like something like
I had
that.
a friend do that in college, and it did not. That's not the way the body is.
Yeah, that's
made.
because he's not Kobe Bryant.
I don't think
Kobe Bryant's
actually,
body's
I don't think
made
Kobe
anyway.
actually did that. But the story that I was thinking about with Kobe is that I guess it might have been the 2008 Olympics or something like that. And all of the rest of the team, you know, they had a week-long break or whatever. They all went out to the bars, the casinos, whatever it was. Kobe stayed back, and the rest of the team was rolling back into the hotel at at 4:00 in the morning.
And he's in the gym.
And they see Kobe coming back from the gym with he's just drenched in sweat with a towel around his neck. Yeah. And that's when they all realized, like, oh my God,
these are Olympians.
Serious.
These are Olympians.
These are Olympians.
And they're the ones saying, this guy's built.
I don't work hard enough. Yeah.
When I think of hustle culture, I think of guys in vests.
Finance bros?
Yeah, finance bros. Have you heard of finance slop? Have you heard this term?
No.
So my brother, who's a faithful listener to the podcast, shout out Luke. Glad you're here. He works in corporate America, does sales for a pharmaceutical company, and I was just hanging out with him, and he was telling me about finance slop, and I was like, yeah, what? Like, I'm so interested. Like, tell me about that. And he's like, now there's a whole term to describe like Chipotle bowls, kava bowls, like any of those like bowl-based lunch,
like kind of like
lunch places that it's just like rice, meat, queso, whatever. And now it's this whole term that they're just being called finance slop because all of these vested finance bros are ordering, 30 Chipotle bowls, and it's just finance slop. You're just eating a bowl of slop for lunch.
The finance slop is the food?
It's the food. It's like a term to describe like a Chipotle bowl, for example.
Wow.
So that was hilarious.
I just read an article that Kurt Signetti gets the same Chipotle bowl order every single day
for lunch.
And he has an intern pick it up, and the intern's favorite perk of the job is that he gets to keep all the Chipotle points.
Oh,
so he
that
racked up
is
64,000 Chipotle points from getting Kurt Signetti's. I don't know what he gets, probably double chicken.
He gets it's some sort of bowl. I mean, a lot of high performers are famous for eating the same things every day. So Clayton, you recommended a great book to me, Leadership Secrets of Nick Saban, and it goes through his diet. Every morning, cup of black coffee, 2 Little Debbie oatmeal cream pies. For lunch, salad with chopped up turkey, like lunch meat turkey. That's it. And then dinner, obviously, was probably with recruits or whatever.
What it said.
Miss Terry Scott. So there's something about hustle culture that values that like super regimented way of life.
Yeah.
Like I have such decision fatigue that I only have 6 of the exact same shirt, 6 of the exact same pants, and 6 pairs of underwear because I can't stand the decision in the morning of what to wear. So when you're thinking of hustle culture, do you think our world glorifies that right now? Or do you think that they look at it as a cringe or a meme?
I think it's definitely glorified. It's like the busyness culture, I guess. Do you remember in college, how it felt? At times it felt like everyone was trying to out-busy each other.
Oh, I remember that very well.
I feel like that's the same thing, no? Of like the hustle culture of like however busy I am, that's how like successful I am, or how hardworking. I don't know, but yeah, important.
You think busyness
Important, yeah.
is a packed schedule, or do you think busyness is a lot of responsibilities?
That's a good question. I think they can go hand in hand, but they don't always go hand in hand necessarily. I think people probably busy themselves way more than actually their responsibilities require of them. I think that could be true.
Yeah.
I think I'm on a kick right now. You guys know the All In podcast. We go on these kicks for, a week or two at a time. And it's about the book, The Anxious Generation, and it's about the phone-based childhood and what technology has done to our brain pathways. But I think what's added to the hustle culture is having to be fully available and having access to email and work-related communication on your telephone. Sorry, I've been reading too much Anxious Generation. On your cell phone, on your smartphone, at all times. Because now you may look like a bad employee if you don't reply all to that email at 8 p.m. You're going to look like the guy who just doesn't care if you haven't answered that email that your boss sent at 7 p.m. by the time that you show up to work the next morning at 8 a.m. And I think that's costing a lot of people because they feel like I'm getting behind if I'm not checking my email on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm getting behind if I haven't prepared my Monday workday on Sunday evening so that when I get to work on Monday, I'm ready to go. How do you draw boundaries there in a culture that says you get ahead if you're always available? Because men need promotion, they need to get more responsibilities at work, but at what cost?
This is you might have to help me with my thoughts here because I'm trying to say something, but I don't entirely know what I'm trying to say at the same time.
That describes this podcast in a sentence.
I just don't really think that people know what's required of them in their roles all the time.
Yes.
I think that in work or in family life, we tend to react to things rather than set priorities that drive specific outcomes. And so for me, like when the way that I work at home is I have a very particular workday startup routine, and it goes like this. I keep my email at inbox 0. Okay, so
you're one of those.
I'm one of those. So every morning I'll go through, quickly delete, the morning brew or whatever other, I'll look through it briefly, whatever it is, identify like the actual things that are coming through via email that I need to take action on. And then I'll add those to my task manager, Todoist. And then I'll use Todoist to kind of see everything that I need to get done that day. I'll check Microsoft Teams, see if there's any messages that I missed and try to capture those and put them into Todoist so that I can kind of start my day like, here's all of the things that I need to do. But one of the things that I've struggled with is that oftentimes there's like all these things that pop up into my mind of like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. And then I just plug them into my Todoist, and then I'll open it up and I've got all of these things that I need to do. And I don't really know which ones are a priority. And a lot of them are just reactions to, something that popped up. And it keeps me from actually sitting back and asking myself, where am I right now? What are my goals? And what things do I need to set for myself in order to get there? And so then your work just ends up becoming, a series of responses throughout the day that end up becoming endless. And then you have decision fatigue, and, makes life harder. So
I think that is brilliant. And I think you're exactly right that that's where a lot of employees are at in their workflow is they're just responding all the time. They're not taking any time to creatively think. They're not taking any time to actually like vision cast, not just like years into the future, not even months into the future, but just for that day. Like, all right, today, what are things I need to get done instead of responding to whatever urgent issues come up in my workday? Do you think that like the invention of work-based communication platforms, so like Teams, Slack, I don't know if there's, Teams and Slack are the two I'm most familiar with. I think that's added to hustle culture a little bit. It
Really?
used to just be email.
Yeah.
But for us now, it's you got 6 emails, you got 52 Teams messages coming in. And are any of those actually moving the needle forward for your job?
Yeah, I guess when you say that, my first, I was like, oh, I feel like those, what would you call them? Work-based communication
Work-based
Medium.
communication platforms.
platforms, mediums. I feel like if anything, they kind of help separate and like create more boundaries.
You think so? I don't agree.
That was my initial thought of like, oh, that way that people aren't texting you or people aren't this or people aren't that.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that in my current job where I'll have a lot of people text me about work.
Yeah, I hate that.
And I just like ignore it. If it doesn't come through Teams, like I don't really. Obviously, I'll eventually get to it, but at 5 p.m. I kind of stop checking Teams. And I've had managers before, like recently, tell me like, "Hey, you need to be checking Teams at all times." I'm like, "No, I don't." And that's like a whole different point where like I think sometimes most people take themselves too seriously and their work too seriously. But that was my initial thought. But then when you said that too, of like, well, before Teams, before Slack, it was just email. Now I'm thinking like, okay, then yeah, I guess Teams, Slack has made it a lot easier to just send random stuff that like.
Because if you think about the workplace before these instant messaging platforms, let's say it's 7 p.m. and as we all do, you put the kids down, your mind starts to wander a little bit, thinking about your work day tomorrow. Oh, boom, I gotta take care of this. Previously, that would have had to be a phone call, right? Hey, I'm gonna call you about this thing, but it's 7 p.m. I don't want to bother you. I'm not gonna call. I'll wait till tomorrow till we're at work. Now you just shoot them a Teams message so that you can get it off your chest and make it somebody else's problem, and that doesn't help.
Yeah,
because now you're creating this world in which that cycle of constantly sending your problems to somebody else for them to solve, nothing ever gets done, because then they message somebody else and then that person messages somebody else. And now it's 9 p.m. and you've created a 5 Teams message thread over your little tiny issue that came to your head at 7 p.m. So I think it's hurt.
I would agree. And there's, Cal Newport, I've read Deep Work, one of his books. And then what's the other one? Digital minimalism. And one of the recommendations there is like, hey, these tools are tools and they're meant to be used as tools, which is they're there to help you. But the problem is that they begin to hinder you rather than help you when you're on them all the time. And so he makes these recommendations of like, when your notification should be off, you shouldn't keep your email open and just constantly be checking it throughout the day. Well, that's something that I'm totally guilty of, is like, oh, let's just go refresh and see if kind of anything, popped up there. And the recommendation is like, hey, have like a, an hour scheduled in or 30 minutes post lunch, whatever it is, to kind of respond to the things that came in, and then go back into a deep work block. But I think what I've felt, and then I think also what I've observed as well, is just that those quick communication things, that's just what people think that their work is. That's what my work is. And so then if you're only going to check it during certain times, then it's like, well, what do I do? What do I do in these other times? It's like, well, you need to have your own sense of agency and a great understanding of what are you trying to accomplish? What are you prioritizing? And I think it just, people would rather just respond to all the things that come in rather than have to, think for themselves and ask, I'm in this role. I know what needs to be done. Let me sit back and think creatively about what I can do in this, in the 2-hour block that I have next Thursday in order to push that forward. And you're just never getting to that point because you're in a cycle of endless communication, and we can look back at the glory days of, pre-internet, pre-email. Oh my gosh, that would have been so much better, but that's not a reality. So we actually have to think for ourselves, what do I need to do in order to create that space for my life so that I can actually be a productive employee and not someone that's just putting out fires all day, every day.
One thing that's helped me with this actually came out of this podcast. So can't remember what episode it was. We'll have to go back and look, but we had a conversation about the brick device.
Yeah.
And remember Clayton was informing us on the brick device. So right after the podcast, I purchased one, and I've already used all my emergency on bricks, which Clayton explained in the episode. But I have it set to where at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, the brick turns off my Outlook and Teams on my phone. And that has been so helpful because it cuts notifications, obviously, but it also just takes away the ability to open those apps until the next morning at 8 a.m. And I should probably even push it back to maybe 8:30 so I can get the day started without those things. And it's just been super helpful. So shout out Brick, not sponsored,
but could be.
We are interested. But very helpful and cool to see the podcast actually helping people, even if it's just me.
Us.
Well, I think, John Michael, when I use the Brick, I have to not only disallow, Microsoft Teams and Outlook and email, but I have to do the internet as well. And Jose, I think you're probably someone that can relate to this as well. I think you're like me in this, is that, I have to disable the web browser on my phone as well, because I'm one of those people where I just think of something in my head. I'm like, oh, I wonder, I wonder how many
tall
people,
is
how many
Fernando
people died
Mendoza?
in the Civil War, and so then I'll start Googling it, and
I'm 5 Wikipedia pages in.
I'm downstairs with my family post work. We're getting ready for dinner. I'm playing baseball with my kids, and I'm like, how many people died in the Civil War? And because I'm just so curious, and it's like I can't tame that in my mind.
One of the worst things for me for that specific thing was ChatGPT.
Yes,
for sure. I have to disable ChatGPT as well. Yeah.
The hustle culture has certainly created this kind of need to be on, to be available. I also think it's created a badge of honor for people that is the word tired. So if you're not tired, you're doing something wrong. Like, oh, how are you doing? Oh, tired, crammed, just slammed at work, just being destroyed by work. And that's kind of seen as you're doing things right.
Yeah.
You're exhausted. Oh, how was work today? Oh, what a day. And that has become kind of something to lean on, to show, to virtue signal to everyone that I take my work very seriously. I'm exhausted after today.
It's funny because whenever I hear someone talk about their job a lot like that, like, today was just, what a day. My first thought is always like, you're probably not cut out for that job, But it's like, people use it as like a way to show, like, I'm doing really important things. Whereas it can come off as like, maybe you should take a different job.
Yeah. How do you think that word tired is being weaponized?
Can you?
What do you mean?
Can you use it in a sentence? What does that mean?
I'm weaponizing my.
Who's weaponizing the word tired? Big tired.
Big tired.
Big beds.
Big sleep.
Big sleep.
It's eight sleep. Okay, honestly, that's another thing. Is sleep culture. You could throw in there as well. Of if you're gonna. It's like, it's a whole thing. There's so many. You've got the pre-made factor meals, and you've got. Wearing the same t-shirt every day, and you've got, and then now a big thing is, everything that you can do surrounding your sleep, so that you can optimize your sleep, so that you can perform the next day,
So that, you're not tired.
So you're not But
tired. I do also feel like people, at least maybe not as much now, but I do feel like people would brag about how little sleep they got. Going back to like the tired, the hustleness of like, well, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night. And it's like, all right, dude, like, you want me to high five you for being irresponsible?
It's funny because, one of my patrons is Saint Jose Maria Escriva. Jose, what would be the proper pronunciation?
I don't know, because it depends on the accents on it. I don't know if there are any accents on it, but
someone who's named after the saint, I thought.
In Spanish, I would say Escriva.
But his whole path of sanctity is about sanctifying your work, and he talks about how, which I've touched on in previous podcasts, but just that your work is an ability to kind of cast a net in your workplace by your excellence to gain respect from people. He's not talking about it in a prideful way. He's just saying it as a point of, you want to be someone that's trusted, so that when you have the opportunity to share the gospel, you have the authority to do it. And I wonder if more people could use the influence of their faith in their work. I just think about our Lord and his work of the sanctifying and salvation of souls in his ministry. You got to imagine he was so tired. The dude was nonstop. If there was a morning routine that should be caught on YouTube, it was our Lord's. He's up early, finding a place alone to pray. Probably
Dunks his face in the Jordan River. You know,
yeah. Who needs Saratoga blue ice water when
Sort
you
of
have
ice
the
bath is
Jordan?
a salt bath.
But you just imagine him waking up, spending time with our Lord, and then probably getting the boys up. You got to assume the apostles probably were sleeping in a bit.
Teenagers.
Getting breakfast going. Maybe it's fish and bread. But he's the perfect image of what a true hustle culture is, which is to spend your life for those around you. And so hustle culture in terminology, I think culturally is used to identify someone who is gaining the glory for themselves and for their career and maybe for their finances under the guise of supporting their family.
Yeah.
But that if we were to sanctify hustle culture and make it Catholic again, we would say that true hustle culture is the spending of oneself for those around you. And I think that's a way for us to take back that idea of work ethic and baptize it in the Catholic imaginative vision. That felt really good, by the way.
Your monologue?
Yeah.
Did you answer the question of who was weaponizing tiredness in that
That was my attempt to get us away from that and to get us onto a great monologue.
Yeah.
Which I think I'd
that
give
was
it a
great.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, that was good.
Clayton, 10 out of 10?
Yeah, it was good.
Ah, come on.
I appreciate it.
Harsh crowd.
I think ultimately what you're saying is just that Jesus had a direction for his life, and he was constantly spending himself in accordance with that vision. And I think that what one of the things that we're saying about hustle culture is that people don't even really know what they're hustling for.
Yes.
Could it be that a hyperactivity in the workplace is needed at certain seasons? And so it would be like, okay, that's okay for this season. But after that, you should probably quiet down. And then maybe there's another season where you need to lean in a little heavier. Could it be seasonal? And are we okay with that?
I don't know if I feel like we might be talking about two different things, or we can get confused talking about two different things. Because hustling to be good at your job and to be excellent is one thing, but overworking yourself in that type of hustling is a different thing. Obviously, we know that excellence should not be seasonal, right? We should always strive to be excellent. When you're talking about busyness, yeah, maybe that's more of a seasonal thing where it's okay if it is seasonal. But at no point should we stop trying to be good at our job, to be excellent at our job. That should always be something that we strive for. But for what? Right? And I don't know if Jose Maria Escriva gets into this, but why are we trying to be excellent at our job? To get promoted? Or, what did you say earlier? To gain the respect?
I think for St. Jose Maria, that's probably secondary. What's primary in excellence is that God has ordained you to do this job in this season. And by that mere fact alone, that you should be excellent out of praise and reverence of God. He's given you a responsibility. And when God gives you a responsibility, the only proper response is to do it with excellence.
Yeah.
So that would be primary for him. The secondary would be to gain the admiration, not in a prideful way,
right,
but for the glory of God of those around you.
Mm. It's in your the great monologue by John Michael a couple minutes ago, one of the things you said was Jesus hustles, right? I'm honestly, I'm lost. Maybe it wasn't that great a monologue.
I think that was a direct quote. Sorry, keep going.
But I'm what hustling for me, when I think of hustling, what it should be is I am fully present to the things in front of me that the Lord's putting in my life. And I'm excellent in all those things. That's what real hustling is.
Mm.
Or at least that's what I think it should be. Maybe I'm wrong. Versus I need to make myself as busy as possible so that other people can respect me and think that I do a good job. Now, oftentimes in being excellent at my job, other people will think I'm good at my job. And that's nice when it crosses over. But what it should be is, again, I'm doing everything I can to be present and excellent to the things in front of me. And at 5 p.m., that's on Microsoft Teams. At 4 p.m. maybe. At 4:30 probably not. And at 5 definitely not. At 5 it's, and I this is something I've tried to get better at. If like right at 5, or if I don't have any more meetings or Teams messages coming through, I'm gonna close my computer. I'm gonna go be with my wife and kid. You know, because that's what's in front of me. That's what the Lord has put in front of me, and that's what I want to be excellent in. That's what I want to hustle towards. Now, I don't want to create another great monologue, but that's kind of what I was thinking of, like the difference between those two things and why. Yeah, we should always be excellent, but doesn't mean we always have to be busy.
I love those great monologues.
Yeah, I think you hit it. The sequel.
Monologue part
Part
two.
two. Part two.
I think a great litmus test would be.
Give us your monologue.
Come on, you're up.
Here we go. Mic, check. All right, here we go. No, I think a great test would just be is there room for leisure in your life? And we have these particular rules of like, oh, I'm going to turn in order for me to not have hustle culture, I need to turn this off then and this off then. It's like, yeah, we do those things because ultimately what I'm trying to create space for is I'm trying to create space for leisure, because leisure is an end in and of itself. Leisure is a good thing. Leisure is a part of my humanity. It's the place where I find rest and restoration. And it's not opposite of work in the sense, or it's like it's not for the sake of just serving my work. It's because it's something that I am part of what I'm created for is to rest in God and to find rest in my identity and rest in my family life. And I want to create a space for that in my life. And so one of the things I've done recently is I was looking at, the next 90 days, and I'm mapping out like, okay, these are my goals over the course of the next 90 days, and then looking through and being like, okay, like what are my days of rest, and start going through and circling each Sunday. Okay, like each Sunday is going to be a Sabbath. That is going to be a day where I'm not working and I'm not available to work. Not because I'm not trying to be excellent, but because Sunday is a day created by God for me to rest, and then looking like, okay, is there like a solemnity coming up where, the office is closed and I'm supposed to be off of work in order to, take my family to mass, to spend extra time with them. And so it's like, in reality, I have 90 days that I have in front of me, only 64 of them can I actually be, am I actually pushing my goals forward? And so that's helped me to kind of see like, I don't have as much time as I think. And so when, the time where I do have to work intentionally, I know that there's certain things that I don't have as much time as I think, I guess, is ultimately what I'm trying to say. And then the next thing as well is, looking through and trying to create an ideal week for myself as well, where it's like in an ideal week, I would have this time to this time to have leisure with my family. And once the kids go down, that next hour and a half after the kids go down before I go to bed, that can be time where I work if I need to. If there's something pressing that's coming up where I need to work, it can also be time for me to sit on the couch and connect with my wife. It can be time to read a book. It can be time to watch a TV show. But just kind of blocking out my calendar to see the spaces that I've created for leisure, and then knowing that, okay, I've got a time for work and I've got a time for rest.
I love that word leisure, and I think it's a powerful concept. I'm wondering if you could define it a little bit for the audience, because I think leisure is a word that is used interchangeably to define different things, but maybe to define leisure in a Catholic sense would be helpful.
Without using the word leisure in the definition.
Without using,
or weaponize.
How do you say leisure in Spanish?
You cannot weaponize leisure.
Big leisure.
Leisure in Spanish?
Yeah.
Leisure.
Really? That sounded French.
That's French.
Leisure.
Leisure.
Therese of leisure.
I had a friend who was a student whenever I was a missionary on campus, and they gave like it was like every Monday a student would give like a 5-minute spiel on a saint. And this person who you guys know and who we won't name just didn't know that it was pronounced Saint Therese of Lisieux. And so the whole, like 100% serious, the whole time that they were talking about Saint Therese of Lisieux in front of like maybe 40, 50 people was just Saint Therese of Lizzo. I thought that was so funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lizzo. Anyways, leisure definition. Go.
The first thought that came to my mind was to have the time to be absorbed in the things of God. And
Good start.
sometimes people will, they'll describe heaven as like I don't like an eternal eternal praising of God, and it's like I don't really want heaven
What
to
does
be
it mean?
like mass all day
heaven's gonna
long
be
every day.
an awesome dive bar. An awesome dive bar with my boys.
Like it's like
Heaven is the top 200 golf courses.
that was my thought exactly. I was like, I want to like see if I can like play Augusta. Now
All
or
the
something like
all
that,
the TPCs.
Like I kind of want to have fun, and I don't want it to be like going to mass all the time.
That's such a real thought, though. That I'm like sometimes
for
I'm scared to like
and
say
so
it loud.
here's someone. It's like it's to be absorbed in the things of God. It's like what I don't mean by that. It's like each Sunday or each time you have leisure, that means you got to be reading the Bible, or you got to be. It's time for silent prayer. But I would say to be absorbed in the things of God in the sense to allow your mind and heart to rest. And oftentimes leisure, like when you've got kids, leisure is like is there's a part of it that's like service of the family, and my wife is a living sacrament to me, and so allowing myself to what a Sunday might look like is like I want my phone to be away and I want my mind to rest. So that might be reading a book for a little bit, that might be taking a nap for a little bit, that might be going on a walk, that might be just cooking a nice meal with my family. What it doesn't mean is vegging out. I think that's probably a good antithesis of leisure, honestly, is just vegging out, where you're shutting your mind off instead of allowing your mind to be absorbed in the reality of God in your life. So
That was well done.
thank you. Where do you think that would rank in the 3 monologues that we've done so far?
Like somewhere between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I got it right in between there.
But talk about weaponizing leisure, though, or weaponizing rest. I think I have seen that a lot, where people think rest or leisure means I just want to sit down and like scroll on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to sit down and turn my brain off. Like I've said that, and that's like the opposite of leisure.
Could I give a definition for leisure? Leisure,
Please.
I think leisure is taking time to re-enter the responsibilities that are primary.
To re-enter
Re-enter.
into the responsibilities that are primary.
Yep.
I don't know if I agree, but keep going.
So in our definition, we know that the opposite is the sort of running from responsibility, the distraction from responsibility, that's not leisure. So that leisure is a time where I can actually look at the responsibilities I've been given and re-enter them in a new way. So if it's Sunday, then my primary responsibilities are to God and to my family. So in my leisure, I need to re-enter those. I need to have time for prayer in my leisure. I need to have time for probably the sacraments. And I need to have time to re-enter the reality of my family. Like you said, spending time with them on Sunday. I think what it also isn't, especially in family life, is the lack of chaos. Because I've tried to create Sundays where it's like, let's all sit down and read books. Next thing you know, there's a book flying across the room. A kid's shirt is off. They're screaming. And it's like, oh, you just ruined my leisure. And it's like, no, you didn't ruin it. It's just my responsibility in my leisure is to be with my children. And so if that means that they're throwing the books, then let's go outside and play football. It doesn't have to be necessarily restful in body as much as it is restful in mind and spirit.
I like Clayton's definition better.
That's number 4 of the monologues, if we're ranking them.
Yeah, I don't know if I like the phrase re-enter into my primary responsibilities.
I don't like it either. Just to be clear.
You seem to have liked it 2 minutes ago.
I liked it until y'all didn't like it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what would your ideal day of leisure be? in your current reality?
Can I, if it includes my children, can I just assume that they're happy?
Yes.
Can I just
Because
assume that they're gone at the
because I could give
grandparents' house?
ideas, but then like if I imagine like taking my kids to the zoo, it's like, oh, this is gonna be so fun. I'm gonna take my kids to the zoo. And then you get there and they're hot, they're sweaty, they're screaming, they're hungry, they're running, they're hitting, they're biting, they're scratching. It's like
Type 2
he's like,
fun.
Get in the wagon, do this. We're gonna get you a snack a little bit. Just hold on, we're gonna get you some water. And then you leave and you're just like, was that even fun?
No.
Like
That was more work
that
than
was,
anything.
that was terrible. Let's never go to the zoo again. So
It's like taking kids to the beach. I used to love the beach before I had kids. Now it's like, let's put them in front of an open body of water. None of them know how to swim. Sand is going to get everywhere. They're hot, sweaty, and tired, and there's no place to sit down without getting sand in their diaper.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. Type 2 fun. I think my ideal day is wake up, work out, get the kids up, quick breakfast. We've made this change recently where before Sunday Mass, we just do something easy before Mass. And then after Mass, we do a big blowout brunch. So like 10 a.m., 10:30, get the Blackstone fired up and just pack that thing with, protein pancakes, bacon, eggs. My kids are hitting their macros early in life. And then honestly, the Sunday rest time is probably my favorite time of the week. So like the kids go down for naps and rest time, and me and my wife just get to spend time together, and the house is quiet. People are tired from a big morning, and it's just calm. And yeah, maybe a kid wakes up from a nap early, but that time is just so sacred. That Sunday, like noon to 2 o'clock. Don't turn on the NFL. No one likes the NFL anyway. It's rigged. Just enjoy a little quiet before the kids get back up and running for the afternoon. And one of my recommendations, and maybe we could move in this direction as we finish up, is some tips for people to just take a step back from the hustle culture. Clayton, you mentioned like taking a step back from the phone on Sunday. I love that. Our family's trying to do like a digital Sabbath on Sundays. So to take a step back from technology on Sunday, put the phones up in the drawer, and the only technology that's allowed to be used is the television if it's a game we want to watch or a family movie that everyone can partake in.
Mm-hmm.
Although right now with one girl and two boys, that is a regular fight. It is either
okay.
Cars or Cinderella, and there is no in between.
mm-hmm.
Like there needs to be some sort of, Disney, if you're listening, would love some sort of like.
They're always listening.
Can we get
Like
a love
Princess
story?
Cars movie.
Yeah, can we get a
Mhm.
love story
Or
that's
a Clark
like
Princess movie.
Ooh.
that would be fun. But just something to where boys
Yeah.
see things explode,
Yeah.
but then something falls in love.
Like Shrek.
Shrek.
Shrek is a little bit of everything, man.
Yeah, it's
Especially Shrek 2.
yeah.
It's a fairy tale. There are princesses. There are weddings. There's action.
There's Lord Farquhar.
Farquaad.
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 Yeah.
Poor guy.
I know.
Short king.
So what was your question?
Yeah. What was?
What are some tips for people
Hmm.
to get out of hustle culture? Get out in the sense of maybe take a break, recenter, and lock in.
I think one thing we talked about the elimination of things on a Sunday, but I would also add in the addition of things on a Sunday as well. Because I think, for a lot of people, and this is true in my own life as well, is that when you remove the technology, then you start wondering, well, what do I do with myself now? Because I'm so used to just kind of being on, my phone or on the computer or something like that. It's like, well, what do I do? What do I do now? And so I think for a Sunday, the digital Sabbath, yes, I love the brunch idea, John Michael. I definitely want to start doing that.
You got a Blackstone?
No, we don't have Blackstone right now.
What do you got? Weber? Smoker?
We have we've got a smoker, which
Ooh.
I was kind of debating between, do I get a Blackstone or do I get like a griddle to put inside of the Traeger?
Works the same.
Yeah, works the same. So, anyways, the addition of something else on a Sunday. So for, in a family, that might look like a big brunch on a Sunday. And then, depending on the age of your children, like we've just started trying to do high-low God moments with our kids
Yes.
at every dinner.
Yep.
How does that go?
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing
It's
ever.
so funny. Like, my oldest is in preschool, and so a high moment is going to be, something that he did and, some fun that he had with, his friends that day in school. And then a low moment is going to be, he fell off his bike. And then the God moments are always just like the most, they don't even make sense. It's like, it was like, I shot my Nerf gun and I loved it. It's like, you're like,
I saw God in that bullet.
Encourage it.
Yeah.
You're
like, oh yeah, buddy.
But I would say, for those who are single, it's like, hey, can you organize a brunch on
Mhm.
Sundays? Something where you can enter into friendship with one another. So that would be my recommendation, is probably particularly surrounding, friendships. Like on a Sunday, can you spend time with friends, and then can you spend time, in your own thoughts as well?
To re-enter your primary responsibilities.
Yeah.
I'm
Good
still
point.
not clear what that means. Re-enter into your primary
Just
responsibilities?
just ignore it. You go back and watch this after; it'll make sense.
If you play it in reverse.
If you play it in reverse, it's gonna make perfect sense. Well, this is the All In Podcast. We sometimes make sense. We sometimes make sense of things that don't make sense. But here's what we do know, is that hustle culture, by definition in our world, can be damaging. But in taking time away from that to re-enter our responsibilities could be an opportunity for leisure, for rest, so that we can be the men God has called us to be. This is the All In Podcast. One of your responsibilities after this episode is to share this with a friend who hustles. To like this episode, to comment below if you think the monologues were a performance or recommend with distinction, and to make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. This is the All In Podcast. We're pumped you're here. See you in the next one.